Maybe that's it. Michelle, can you hear us now?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kate Fuller is absent. Carl Adams,
Here.
Brenda Hupka,
Here.
Aaron Martinez is absent. Hope Swearinger, here. Tina Praying,
Present.
Camille Keys,
Here.
and Chair Haggerty.
Here. Okay.
I think you
So,
forgot me.
oh, sorry. When you had said you're here, maybe if you just call just for confirmation, Jilly, please.
I'm sorry, Michelle Austin.
Here. Yeah. Before you just asked me if I could hear you and I said yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't realize it was the roll call. So,
I've got you down.
okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
We were having some audio difficulties, Michelle, and we had asked and then realized that we forgot to ask again. So thank you for all being here today. Get into the agenda. The next is approval of the meeting minutes. If I could get a motion.
I move to approve the meeting minutes for July 25th, 2023.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? All right, let's go ahead and discuss or roll call, please.
Miss Townley,
Yes.
Miss Austin,
Yes.
Mr. Adams,
Yes, yes.
Miss Hupka,
Yes.
Miss Swearinger,
I will abstain due to not being present at last meeting.
Miss Praying,
Yes.
Miss Keys,
Yes.
Chair Haggerty.
Yes. Okay, motion passes, and now we can move on to approval of the findings of fact. I believe everyone probably had a chance to read through these orders, I think, and thank you, Kate, honestly, for last time for reading those through. So just so we can have these for discussion, they as part of the 2016 Inglewood Forward Comprehensive Plan, Goal 1, to promote a balanced mix of housing opportunities serving the needs of current and future Inglewood residents. And this update reflects the different housing opportunities to accessory dwelling units, different lot sizes, increasing housing options that can support a more diverse and quality workforce. It also supports Goal 3, which was recognize and enhance the relationships between land use and the transportation system. The update considers the context between what buildings and the streetscapes could offer. So do we have a motion to approve those findings of fact?
Can we have some discussion first?
I think we have to get them to motion and then we can
after,
discuss.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll move to approve the updates to code.
And we're gonna have a second.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Okay, discussion. Tina?
Yeah, so in the section that discusses the amendments that we wanted to see, I just had a question about the definition of household. Did we discuss removing, so after up to 4 unrelated persons, and then it says adults and their children or legal dependents? Why did we remove that?
Go ahead, Kate.
We removed that to just leave it at unrelated persons because of the potential unlimited nature of like with children and added to that with the intent that additional recommendations would come forward from the Housing Task Force.
Okay. And I agree with that in general, but I feel like if we're including it up above for married persons, adoption, civil union, etc., that the 4 unrelated persons perhaps should include their children or legal dependents.
And I think I understand where you're coming from, that this does reflect what we had agreed to in the last meeting. And I think there was obviously a lot of discussion
Mhm.
regarding that, and we had gone back and forth on whether that was maybe necessity isn't quite the right word, but I think the context that Kate provided of understanding that the housing task force could adjust this was what we agreed to have this portion of it taken out to allow that other study to be completed.
Did we mean for unrelated persons and their dependents or children?
No. Oh,
Sorry. I think that should belong in there still, because I don't want to have a period of time where we're defining up to 4 people or persons in a household and excluding the ability for them to have their children on the property. I just think it's fair, whether you're married in civil union or not, or you're unrelated. Children need a place to be. And so it's kind of a glaring oversight for us to leave that out.
Okay.
Just with the part above, so the person's related by blood, marriage, adoption, civil union, or committed partnership or legal guardianship, including their foster children living together in a dwelling unit, or up to 4 unrelated persons. I guess in my mind, there would still be that ability for persons with children to.
Yeah, but
there.
Yeah, and I think I'm jumping. The thought was if we had 4 unrelated people and children and legal dependents, there was a thought of you could have up to 20 people or 16 people living. And as much as I think that was okay, the agreement between the board was to strike that portion of it to temporarily limit until, again, the task force had a maybe more defined definition of what a household is. Tina?
still agree with that direction. However, it's very, it is not speaking to inclusion and accessibility and attainability to have the definition, one segment of it be related to a legal structure of relationship and the other for unrelated, and to not have children included in that. I'm not going to die on this hill, but I do think that it speaks very loudly to our values and what we're promoting, and that children should be included in that statement.
Michelle, you've got your hand up.
Yes, I think what part of the reason that we took out that after the 4 unrelated people was the concern when you have concern with ADUs in the backyard, that you potentially could have when you have up to maybe 3 ADUs, and you don't say the max in each one of them is 4 people, but it still allows, like Kate said, for households so that include all of the children and stuff. There's a big or in between that. So I think it was to limit that, especially when it came to ADUs, that there wouldn't be 4 unrelated adults and all of everything else. I understand that it might be a statement about our values, but I don't think it's a negative statement about our values, because the previous sentence takes care of all the children and foster children and all of that sort of thing. Just my opinion.
I think there was a bit of a not consensus, compromise of how we could define this, and that was, I think, as Michelle noted, especially when we're talking about multiple units, so you'd have the households, and then just how those could come up was the reason why this was written the way it was, or marked up the way it was marked up. Any other discussion on that or other topics? Okay,
Carl, did you have something?
go ahead, Carl. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that is on the antenna mounting and building towers and whatnot. And we discussed absolutely nothing on that. That was-
So the additional text that changes that were in here, is that what you're talking about for, these were part of the staff recommended
The
changes?
ones on the finding the facts, those pages on that.
Pages, and those were,
And we
go ahead, Carl.
discussed nothing on that.
That is true, other than it was presented last time as part of the staff recommended changes, and there wasn't any request to discuss any parts of that.
Were you talking about, were you speaking
talk-
about, you said towers, you meant telecommunication towers?
The
No.
entire telecommunications section has been replaced, and sorry, so maybe you could speak, is that a correct statement? I believe the entire telecommunications chapter got
So
replaced.
if you'll remember, Colleen McCauley gave
Mhm.
you a presentation. When was it, the 11th? At the first part of the public hearing, so on July 11th. Staff presented, the staff requested amendments. And essentially that one, the wireless communication facilities chapter that you see now was requested to just replace, and it's all it was reformatting what Ms. McCauley had presented to you all as their changes. So the original changes that were in the draft were based on the formatting of our current code. And then what was replaced in there was reformatted to match what the code next draft essentially looks like.
That's just that they, to vote yes on the finding the facts, that's, you're agreeing that you've discussed this stuff and you've come up with the agreement that this is what you want in the code. And I don't see that as being done.
Again, these were part of the staff recommended changes that we did include in the findings of fact when we presented, or when we voted last meeting 2 weeks ago, we voted to include the staff recommended changes. I understand where you're coming from, and if there's something you would like to discuss on here, I'm happy to, we can have a quick conversation, or we can take as long as we need to take, Carl.
Well, finding the facts basically covers the whole code, correct?
The findings of fact, and maybe Victoria, correct me if I'm wrong, is we have recommended approval, or we've recommended approval of the UDC as it's written with those changes as they are shown in this findings of fact, which included the change of household, the change of accessory dwelling units, as well as several staff requested changes that are the remaining ones here.
Yeah. There's a lot of changes in there that we've never talked about.
Well,
Lots.
we did, I don't know that any of us had any burning desire to go through the telecommunications section of it, other than what was discussed from Ms. McCullough, was it?
McCauley.
McCauley, yeah.
Well, not necessarily just the communications, the whole thing from beginning to end.
I think that was an expectation that Carl and some of us had, and that speaks to when we were discussing early in January, having meetings about this, what was happening, what kind of changes we wanted to see in planning and zoning. We decided instead that we would have those discussions in UDC. So it replaced, the UDC meetings kind of replaced a discussion of the document as a whole. And so we boiled it down to then just talking in the hearing about, I think, what you would say is the big points that people are most emotional about. How do I put this, right? We're hitting the big bullet points. But yeah, I know that there was first an expectation that we would have UDC meetings and then go to planning and zoning and go through the document. But in January, I think it was, remember when I said, well, let's start having planning and zoning meetings, and everyone said, no, let's just keep the discussion in UDC. So, but if you want to keep this meeting open, and if there is something that you think that we have glossed over, I'm open to it. I don't want to talk about telecommunications though. That's pretty different.
And again, remember, we are recommending this for approval to city council. If there are items that you specifically would like to have them consider, there's still that opportunity when city council reviews this package at that point. I'm not trying to pass it off, but we did, all the planning and zoning was on the UDC in order to, you know, have that opportunity to influence the text the way it was now presented. And I understand the telecommunications kind of came in a little bit later and had some changes. Personally, I don't have an issue with telecommunications, but if there's something specific in there, you know, let's.
The telecommunications is just one item, and there's many items in there that have been changed and we haven't talked about. So that's, my point is that if something gets changed, we're signing this as we're okaying it. And if we sign that and we don't even know what's being changed, that's forgery, basically.
Okay.
I guess from my point of view, I think Chair Haggerty and staff made it very clear at the first part of the public hearing, this was our opportunity to ask whatever questions were needed of staff, to have additional time to even review the telecommunications portion, because that was presented to us a little bit later. I looked through that, but I also felt very confident in the consultant that they had write that section. So I don't have the expertise for all the telecommunications piece. So I feel like we had that opportunity. And if there are things that you feel like we didn't go over in detail, that should have been brought up during the hearing. That we're at the findings of fact. And during the vote process, we're all supposed to give our findings of fact. And if we weren't ready to vote at that time, I think it needed to be brought up then, not now.
Thank you, Kate. Yeah. Carl, okay, you're good. Anybody else have any additional thoughts, conversation? Okay. Well, with that, we can go ahead and.
I do have one
Yeah,
question.
go ahead, Carl.
I haven't seen the council as voting on finding of the facts. Do they do that also?
So, and Vicky, correct me if I'm wrong, what will happen is they will be presented the compiled UDC document, I assume, with all the changes incorporated. And at that point, they will then discuss and create their own recommendation for either approval or denial or any amendments that they're requesting.
Yes, in general, that's correct. They would go over the recommendations that have come from the Planning and Zoning Commission. They will hold their own public hearing, and then they will vote to whether or not to make these changes or request others to be made.
Yeah, I mean, it's very possible that all the changes that we've proposed won't even get accepted by council. I mean, it's possible that they will decide to go a completely different way. I mean, I don't anticipate that to be the case, but realistically, our job was to get a document to present to city council that we felt was representative of a code to be able to move forward. Okay, thank you.
So that's my point, is that we're giving them something that we're saying that we have reviewed and we agree with, and we're okay with all the changes in there. And it's not true. There's a lot of changes in there. I'm not just talking about the telecommunications. There's a lot of other things in there that we have never talked about.
Carl, I would disagree with that slightly. I mean, there was opportunities for us to read through at any point in time, and you've had the opportunity to read through for months and months. I've had the opportunity, I've read through just about every page. I wouldn't say I have gone through detail on every single table because there's a lot of them in there, but I've gone through every page of this document, and I would say that I am comfortable moving forward with the document as it's presented. And if you're not, and you don't have to vote yes, and I understand that. And I know that you didn't vote yes to approve the findings, or to approve them previously. So that is absolutely your ability to still do that. So with that, I guess we should take the vote, unless there's other further discussion. Nope. Okay. Shelley, thank you.
Ms. Townley,
Yes.
Ms. Austin,
Michelle, I think you're on mute.
Michelle, can you unmute?
Is there not ability for you to request her to unmute, I believe now, because she's a panelist?
No, she's got control. Can I have her raise her hand or does she need to voice?
Michelle, can you hear us? Can you nod?
There we go. Sorry, I couldn't get to the button to unmute myself. I share a lot of Carl's concerns, but at this point in time, there's no pragmatic way for us to make changes. So I will vote yes and pass it on to city council to take care of things.
Mr. Adams,
I'm going to vote no because I'm not comfortable with the a yes vote.
Ms. Hupka,
Yes.
Ms. Swearinger,
Abstain.
Ms. Pring,
Yes.
Ms. Keys,
Yes.
Chair Haggerty.
Yes. So I believe vote passes there. All right, we now have open public forum. I don't believe there's anybody in the public here today. Anybody online?
One person online. Let me double check. Mr. Smith, do you wish to speak?
And just a reminder, this is to speak about anything not on the agenda tonight.
He's no longer there.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right, no one else in the public? Okay.
There is no other public.
All right, then we can go on to the next task, staff's choice. Streisand?
I just want to thank everybody for the discussion for the last two meetings on the UDC and Code Next. We appreciate the hard work of the commission and we'll keep you all informed as it goes through council public hearings.
Thank you. Any other staff?
This mic is going to get me. I just need to confirm on the minutes who made the motion. Thank you.
Tina, yeah, Ms. Brigg, and then seconded by Ms. Hopka. Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Okay, from there, we can go to attorney's choice
Thank you. I don't have anything at this time.
and commissioner's choice. I'll go down the line. Carl?
Nothing here.
Brenda?
I'm good, thank you.
Kate?
This is my last meeting. So I wanted to let you all know I am going to be stepping back from the Planning and Zoning Commission. It's been 11 and a half years, so I term out here in a few months anyway. It's been a great opportunity and I have learned a ton, but I felt I wanted to see the Code Next through and I felt like this was a good time to step back. And with Camille on board, sorry, she can't see me, but I'm looking over at my screen. I think you're in good hands to have someone else fill this role for now. So thank you for the opportunity and it's been great to work with all of you.
Well, I don't disagree that Camille, I'm sure will be a fine replacement. We are all going to miss you here on this board and we can celebrate that at another time, but thank you, Kate. Tina?
It's been a pleasure to work with you, Kate. I have learned a lot from you in the short time that I've served. So thank you so much for that and your diligence and note-taking and tracking the conversation as we've waded through that. And just in general, I think we've done good work. I think we've honored one another's voices. Carl, I very much respect you having your individual vote tonight in representing what you truly believe in. And it's been a heavy lift, and I think we've done a great job together. So that's it.
Hope.
Yeah, I wanted to apologize for not being present at our last meeting, but just know that I was able to watch the video and the discussion and really appreciated the thoughtfulness and the time spent. And I was prepared and just unfortunately wasn't able to make it. So thank you for all the hard work that you've put in, and staff as well. And Kate, we will miss you. It really has been inspiring to watch you be a part of this board and committee, and the just the investment you have is very clear to see in the 11 years you've put in. So thank you for your time and your efforts. I really appreciate it.
Michelle?
Yes, I would obviously like to thank Kate very much. Kate, doggone it, that means that I'm the next one that's going to be going off. I mean, you and I are the longest standing ones on the commission. So, but it's always been wonderful to work with you. And when you were chair, you were fantastic. I agree with the other comments that you're very, very good at keeping the conversation on track, and also being so good at helping Nancy out with the findings of fact, well, helping all of us out actually with findings of fact and other technical things like that. You're the absolute best at that. And I know that I will personally miss you, and I know that the rest of the commission will too. Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you, Michelle. Camille?
Nothing really, but Kate, it was really great sitting in 2 meetings with you. I think you were really thoughtful, and it was really great to hear you speak about the topics, and I thought it was really interesting. So it's kind of a bummer you're leaving, but I'm glad I got to sit in 2 meetings with you.
Thank you, Camille. And Kate, thank you. That's all I can say. So with that, I believe that is everything. Carl, yeah.
We possibly could be losing Tina or Brenda to city council. So there could be another empty spot.
I would like to just note that I think either one would be an awesome asset to city council. I wish you both best of luck. And but you're right, Carl, that would be a bummer for us, but I'm sure we will persevere. So thank you for that note though. And that is also a very big thing. So Tina and Brenda, good luck. Yeah. And with that, we can adjourn.
Thank you.
I think Kate gets the gavel out.
Thank you.